welcome back to another video. My camera's a little crooked. Let me see if I can fix that. Sure, I kind of blend into the TV, but that's okay. It's okay. I figured today we would chat about some of my favorite books of 2024, some of my least favorite books, and books I DNF'd in 2024. Hi. It's been a while since I've posted on this channel. Yeah. Life just got really crazy, especially once I was learning to punch needle. I actually put that stuff down for a while. But then I got a little obsessed, a little crazy, started crocheting, started making things, bought a ton of yarn, read some books, and yeah, I'm trying to think about this, like my last video I've posted. I left my job, got a new job, work nights now, and that's pretty much the update. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Sarah. My family and friends call me Sadi. This is my channel where I just talk about all my crafty things. Talk about reading, talk about puzzling, crocheting, needle punching, painting, all the crafty things. This is like my comfy, cozy, crafty channel where that's what I'm sharing. I'm hoping that these will just be some cozy, fun little vlogs for you guys to put in the background while you guys are doing your comfy, cozy things. So yeah. So this is the cute little mug my sister got me for my birthday from an Etsy shop, but it's so cute. Like I was saying, I want this video today just to be about all the books that I really enjoyed in 2024, some new series that I really like, and then some of the books I did not like. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you guys would still like to see a video about all the books that I read in 2024, let me know. I just feel like it's kind of late for that. I read 59 books in 2024, and if you don't know, I love reading romance. That's primarily all that I read, is for the most part romance, cute and cozy. I've been on a clean reading journey, so about 95% of the romance books I read are clean, closed doors. I did read a couple of thrillers, or suspense mystery type books, and then a couple of faith Christian living books. If you want to know about those books, I did talk about that on my other channel, which is Magnified Faith, where I talk about all faith things, Bible journaling, Bible reading, Bible studying, faith books, things like that. So definitely check that out. So this year seems so long. I will say, I did learn that I find that I don't know if this is just like because I was reading books with spice for so long, but I felt like books without spice were terrible. And I don't think that's true. I think it's just getting used to not having that in the books. But also a lot of the authors that I did find that were writing closed door romances were newer authors within the last couple years. These are all they're coming out with all these books, and they're pretty fresh. I read from, let me see, what was her name? Well, I love Anna Conwell. I finished one of her series with the Carter brothers. Those series, they're super cute. The last one was, which one was the last one? One of the last ones was my favorite. Let me find it. He's My Roommate was a really good one. The Emma St. Clair and Jenny Proctor series with the hockey romance Abby series has been one of my favorites. They came out with a series, I think it was last year, like a fall series with a bunch of other small authors, like not small authors, independent authors, and they each wrote one book. Emma St. Clair and Jenny Proctor wrote the first and the last book, and they just happened to be both about this series, and then they made that its own series, so which I love. I do want to get them in print. I also want to get Anna Conwell's but he the Carter brothers series in print too. I've been reading another series by Anna Conwell that I've been enjoying. I don't know what the series called, but there was the Golden Globe and the Golden Goal, which was a hockey series, which I enjoyed. The Perfect Putt, which was golf, and then I haven't read the next one. It's The Run Option, right? Did I read The Run Option? Oh no, I did read The Run Option. It was a football series, a football romance, and it was so cute. It's basically these group of guys. 4 of them are professional sport players, and then one of them is the manager of all of them. So in the first book, the manager, his twin sister, and his best friend, who's the hockey player, fall in love. And then the next series is with the next friend, and so on and so forth. The run option was A Marriage of Convenience, and I actually really enjoyed it. And I also did read it after reading about a few thriller-ish books, which I did enjoy. I read The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I've tried to read a Frida McFadden book before, and I did not enjoy it. I remember the grammar and the writing was just really terrible, and I couldn't get through the first chapter. But this one was really good. It was a psychological thriller, 2 POVs, dual timeline. I really enjoyed it. The twist at the end, I wasn't expecting. I did not expect the twist at the end, which I'm so happy because they really set it up for you to think something else. And I hate when in thrillers I can figure out exactly what's going to happen, what the twist is going to be. So I'm happy I couldn't figure out the twist. So I really enjoyed that one, and it was closed doors. There was no spice in that one. Another book I really enjoyed was Without a Trace by Colleen Coble. She is very similar to Dee Henderson, so this is more Christian based, but it's a thriller suspense. And it's basically about a woman who, her son and her husband went down on a plane almost a year before, and she has a canine search type of team, and she's been searching for them all this time, and now they're stumbling upon murders. So she ends up helping figure out who's doing these murders, what is going on. We find out what happened to her husband and her son. And one thing I do like about this series, because it is a series, is that the next book continues on with her, and it's called Beyond a Doubt, which is the next book I need to read for this year, because I read this one at the end of last year, and it's with the same girl, the main girl, so you have to read to find out what happens. But I really enjoyed it, and it was a pretty quick read. I did listen to half of it, or a majority of it. I think I listened to most of it. It was really good. Another great book, which I talked about last year, but I can't seem to find it yet. It's somewhere here, but it's Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. That is one of my favorite rom-com books. My favorite clean, closed romance, whatever book. I just love that book. I love the character development in them. I just love the characters themselves and how they fall in love. And I love a fake dating trope always, especially like a teaching to fake date or teaching to date trope. So I really love that book. Her next book that she came out in that series is not clean. There are about 4 open spicy scenes, and it's a little disappointing to me. I think in the front of the book she marks out which books have spice or which chapters have spice, but it's just a little disappointing that the next the next books are open door. But that book is one of my favorites, and I've read it. I read it last year for the first time. Amazing. Read it this year, and it was still so good. I read a lot of fake dating books, and some of them they're not great. Oh, I also just started reading by Lee Brunner. She's one of the newer authors I found this year. So I started reading her. It's a DC Eagles hockey series. So I read Desire and Defense, Flirtation and Face Off, Betrothal, and Breakaway. And those are the first 3. There's a 4th book, I believe, coming out this year, and then she also put out a prequel which you need to read. Really enjoyed those books. I think her writing's really great. And then after I read those books, I tried to read her very first series, and was not my favorite, the first book. And I think it's just because it was one of her first books, and it's the writing style. Her writing style has definitely changed a lot and definitely gotten so much better and improved. But it was about a group of siblings. So Running Mate, Housemate, and Checkmate. Checkmate was really good. And Cabin Mate was my favorite one. That's like Friends to Lovers. Some of these books, it feels like I read them like years and years ago. So maybe in a little bit I will chat with you guys about which books were not my favorite, because let me tell you something. I had some series. I had this book series that I was really enjoying. I'll talk about it later. But then ended up not enjoying. It was just, she ruined it. And then I also just read some really terrible series. If you follow me on Instagram, you know the books that I read because I post every single book I read on my Instagram story and keep a highlight. And yeah, but I have other things that I need to go do. So we'll chat a little bit. I have to go to Target. Maybe we'll browse through the book aisle there and just do different things like that. Can you hear the dog? Amazon, FedEx, USPS, a random person walking by the door. He must let them know he is in charge here. We decided we're chopping our hair off impulsively. Okay. Match into this little bit more life into it. Oh, hello everyone. I'm just getting ready for my day. It is the next day, but I figured we can spend a little bit of time chatting about some of the books that I did not enjoy in 2024. Obviously, there were a few books that I just did not like, but I read them and that was that. But there were some books that were just terrible. I figured we could chat about those while I finish getting ready. And there's really just 2 or 3 series that were really, really terrible. Like some books just kind of missed the mark, like Faking It with the Grump. Not one of my favorite. It just kind of felt like there was no build up to the romances between the main characters. They didn't really like each other, and I felt like even towards the end they still didn't like each other. Faking the Fall, I apparently really did not like that one, but I truly have no memories of this book at all. So, oh, another book that kind of really irritated me, so we're going to talk about it, is It's Not PMS, It's You by Rich Amol. It's the only romance book I've ever read written by a man, and it definitely missed the mark for me. It was very much about a woman. She was in her 40s. She was a career-driven woman, whatever, and she eventually wanted to find a man. And her and the main guy had chemistry, but I felt like the character development, because it really wasn't character development, was just her. Like, she did a lot of compromising. She did a lot of changing, and he just constantly would berate her for being a woman with emotions. That's kind of what it felt like. And, like, he did a lot of things, but that were nice and, like, romantic gestures, but a lot of things were, like, he was a contractor and he decided to add like lights or plugs and stuff into her wall, but he didn't like confirm with her first because he was just like, oh, I thought it would be a great idea. Like, kind of like he was a know-it-all, and it was kind of annoying. But they kept also bringing up this aspect of she's an emotional woman because she's PMSing, and I really hated that because I'm like, you're a man writing about this. You don't know. So it just felt very condescending. Another book I didn't like was The Fake Out Flex. Don't remember it, but I did not like it. I wrote that in my notes. Let's see. Okay. So some books that I was really enjoying was the Pocket Watch series by C.C. Geltinen. So it was a time-traveling romance series, and basically the premise is that someone in the future, when given this watch, would get the chance to go back in time. Oh no, my eyeball. They would be able to take the place of another person who had made a choice that would lead to their death. So basically, by them going into their bodies, they would keep that person alive, while their body in the future was in a coma or whatever. Really enjoyed the first 2. I thought they were great, well written. I love old-timey romances. My only beef was, they were clean too. They were clean romances. My only beef was once you got to the 3rd book. So the 2nd and 3rd book kind of went together, because the 2nd and 3rd book were a different situation where the girl hadn't made a decision that was gonna lead to her death yet. Like the change happened earlier, so they just soul swapped. So the second book is the girl that went to the past. The third book is the girl that went to the future. So after you read the second book, you know what the ending choice is going to be for both characters, but you're getting her perspective in the third book. One, I feel like it should have just been one book, dual point of view, dual timeline. But in this third book, things changed. The book it was spicy. Apparently everyone was time traveling. Everyone knew about time travel. It was just became a mess. And something I liked about the first two books was there was a lot of respect to that these future ladies had to these past women for them and their bodies in their lives, where this other girl was just doing whatever she wants, and I did not like that. So I DNF'd it. It just made me really upset. I was enjoying it up until that point, and then I was done. I didn't want to read that series anymore. I didn't want to read from that author. I was done. A series which I also made my sister read this series because I was like, I need someone to talk to about this because like I can't believe this exists, was basically my reaction. It's kind of hard to talk and do my eyebrows at the same time. It was a book by Felicity Elaine, and it is targeted as a dark Christian romance, mafia romance. Yeah. So it was a trilogy, three books, and the main girl, so annoying. I'm just gonna read what I had wrote in my caption for Instagram, because we'll see if we can understand. I put, a dark Christian romance is a weird concept. It felt like the Christian part was a bit out of place or competing with the dark romance theme. It was a bit forced, like the author didn't want you to forget that this was still a Christian book, that the theme of Christianity was still here. I don't think I would categorize this as within the Christian genre, nor do I think Christian and dark romance go together. That aside, it was a decent read. I did feel like the last book was longer than necessary because of the Christian themes. And if it was just a normal mafia romance, it would have ended halfway through the last book. I definitely think that if we would have removed the Christian theme out of this, it would have been a much better book. I think the Christian themes of the book, it was kind of like the book was going on and then it was like, oh wait, we're Christian. And it was kind of like that. And there was just a lot of things wrong with this book. It was all right. It was just weird, and I would never recommend this book, nor would I ever reread this book. Like, I know I forced my sister to read it, but it was just so I had someone else to talk to about this, because it was just one of those books. And the main character, the main girl, was really unlikable. The guy too, but the main girl was just really unlikable. And she was the one that was a Christian. And she was just very judgy and just very, like, everything that she didn't want to do, she blamed it on her faith. Everything she had to, like, she was just using her faith too as an excuse for everything. Yeah, let me pull this off so I can look a little more normal. I did chop my hair off last night. I was just chopping it around. But yeah, and then there wasn't necessarily spice. There were intense sexual tension, suggestive language. I will say sexual assault and abuse warning, trigger warning, I would say with this, because it is a mafia story. Not necessarily spicy, but like uncomfy. And I just did not like it. And then of course, my sister scrolling through the socials, and then she finds another book. This is after I read the series and I was like, I can't be reading this stuff. She finds a series where there's also a Christian aspect of it. It was actually called The Mafia Boss and the Christian Girl or something like that, but I was like, okay, let me read the first book in this series, which was The CEO and the Christian Girl. I read 20% of this book. And here are my thoughts. Well, let me explain. Katerina and Alexander are forced to marry to solidify a merger between their parents' companies because Katerina's father died, and this was like in his will. If they did not decide to get married, she would lose the company rights. It would be sold off and all this other stuff. Like that was part of his will. Like she wouldn't be cut off by any means, but the company itself would be sold and all that stuff. On his side, his dad was just like, if you don't do this, I'm not leaving you the company. So not really a marriage of convenience, more like she felt bad for the workers, so went ahead with the marriage, and he wanted the company, so they decided to do this. My initial thoughts when reading this first 20%, was that it was not well written. The dialogue was awkward, and there were many times where they would talk and just keep saying each other's name. Like in the beginning when she first got kind of kidnapped, full spoilers, I don't even care at this point. The driver, it's like, hey, you need to come with me, and she was like, all right, like what's going on? He's like, you need to come with me. This is like before she finds out about the contract and stuff. She's like, you need to come with me. And then they get in the car, and he's like, Miss blah blah, da 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 da, and she's like, thank you, Mr. This, da da da, and he's like, Miss blah blah, and it's like, y'all don't need to say each other's name that much. Like, it's too much. And it had a very like missionary dating feel to it. But at the same time, like in the last book, I felt like she used her Christianity a lot as an excuse. And even in my notes, in my thoughts, I put, definitely should have DNF'd at this point, but I pushed through. This is what I sent to my sister when I'm updating her about this book. I put, Katerina's low-key kidnapped after her father's funeral. He ignores the guy that she ends up with. He ignores her, and she makes it seem like it's the worst thing ever, and he can't believe he made her cry. It's very interesting because the whole 20% of the book probably took place in like 4 days, and he thinks she's a gold digger even though her family's wealthy. She speaks weirdly proper. Kind of feels like an old English romance the way she speaks sometimes. Also, I can put my glasses back on so I could see. Ooh, they're dirty. And then everyone on the guy's side of the family kind of like attacks him and goes, why are you pushing your fiance away, blah blah blah. And remember, they met each other once when it went to their initial meeting, and then again when he picked her up and was like, hey, since we're doing this, you're gonna come live with me now. And then she's been at his house for the weekend. Like, that's the family house for like the weekend. So they've known each other for like a total of 4 days, maybe 2 weeks, who knows. But they're just being really dramatic, and then we find out that there are secrets within the family, and one of the cousins that shows up is very messy. She comes out of nowhere, out of left field, shows up, talks to the guy, and it's just like, oh my goodness, why are you pushing everyone away? You're acting so dramatic. Oh my goodness, blah blah blah. Then they're at dinner, and then she makes a scene at dinner, and it's just wild. And then out of nowhere, the dad like brought up God to his son, but he's out here not living like a man who has God either, so it was really random because his dad's like a womanizer. But he's hoping that the arranged marriage will help his son have a relationship with God. And it was just like a weird mix, and then I ended the book. I was just like, I cannot keep reading this. So that's kind of like what my 2024 reading was like. Either really good, meh, or really, really bad in weird ways. Why is the dog barking? Oh, there must be another dog outside. But yeah, so yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this video here. It's a weird way to start my morning talking about books that I did not enjoy, but it was in like a hee hee ha ha way. Yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.